Welcome to the ACC Panic Room alongside Lauren Brownlow. I'm Joe Ovies. You could call it a monster Saturday for the Triangle schools. Throw in the Carolina Hurricanes and the Charlotte Hornets too. It's a good day for North Carolina sports. You want to start with Duke over Virginia?
Yes, because
Okay.
listen, I've tried to tell y'all it's must-see television every year.
Oh yeah.
And it was probably the second time this year I've been actually very deeply sad to not be at a game in person. And yeah,
Mike Krzyzewski said it after the game, and I agree with him. That was the type of game that would have popped if Cameron Indoor was full. That was and honestly, it was a game that we deserved, at least for us locally, having sat through. Look, a nice dominating win for NC State that took advantage of yet another bad performance by Wake Forest, which is a separate conversation. But State did the thing. That's the good part. They did the thing against the Wake Forest team that couldn't stop turning the ball over and things like that, bad defensively. And then there's a COVID pause for Louisville, and you didn't expect them to have the stamina to keep up, having not played basketball in so long. But again, North Carolina has to go out there and do the thing, and they dominated the Louisville Cardinals. So, but the games were kind of boring after a while, unless you're a fan of those teams. So thankfully, Duke and Virginia entertained us. So thank you, Duke and Virginia. Was this an overall good matchup, back and forth? A little strategery from the coaches as well, and came down to a little defensive effort and a bit of a miscue from Kihei Clark there at the end. Bad mishandle that put the win in Duke's favor.
yeah, and I think like I just was sitting there like, wow, he's dribbling a lot, and I remember thinking that a lot at certain points.
Yeah.
I love Kihei Clark, and also I'm starting to think that he should just change his hairstyle whenever he needs to kind of change his team's mojo, because it got me thinking back to my own playing days when maybe I wasn't playing particularly well or my team wasn't, and I would just change my ponytail a little bit.
Okay.
As if that would give me some athleticism. Kihei has some athleticism, but like me, a little height challenged.
A little bit. A little bit. So if Jim Boeheim, Syracuse head basketball coach, called wins over NC State and Wake Forest monster wins.
To be fair, he might have meant margin of victory, but yes.
Are you fun at parties, Brownlow?
No. What
Apparently
are parties?
not. And I mean, we've hung out before in the before times. You usually have a good sense of humor. Why are you already being a buzzkill? Has it been that long since ACC hospitality? Actually, it's almost been a year since ACC hospitality was like the last bit of fun anybody had. No, look, Jim Boeheim was rightfully roasted for. Yeah, that's probably the last time. Jim Boeheim was rightfully roasted for what he had to say about Jalen Johnson, including the fact that he called them monster wins, and he also was wrong in the fact that Jalen Johnson did play 8 minutes in that win against NC State, but. The topic, the subject of what he was talking about wasn't necessarily wrong.
Yeah.
He shouldn't be the one saying it to begin with, and how he said it was problematic. But if you actually look at the subject matter, what's Duke's team like with Jalen Johnson and what are they like without Jalen Johnson, I think we started to see before he decided to opt out that the roles are better defined. Somebody like Matthew Hurt can continue to grow into what we saw tonight. And it also allows the coaching staff to make some adjustments on a team like Virginia where they wanted to go smaller. So you have Mark Williams, who's really come on since he started, the last 4 or 5 games. He's earned that time. He's been a big reason why Duke's looked better. But they didn't use Mark Williams in this matchup. They went with Jamin Brakefield in this matchup, which ended up paying off. Brakefield had a great game defensively.
Yeah, and that they needed that because Mark Williams has been really good. He's been really good around the rim, but he was not somebody that could stay with Huff on the perimeter, and Duke decided to switch everything. That's one of the things that they've done differently defensively here recently. And with some teams that works fine, and Mark can go fine going on a switch, but this wasn't the game for that. They adjusted to that quickly. Brakefield's been playing well as of late. He played really well at the start of the year, and they kept trying to come up with nicknames for him of an appliance that heats up quickly. I mean, I guess,
The broadcast, the fact that Jay Billis doesn't know what an Instapot is was a little surprising, although he did recover with a good joke saying, when I hear Instapot, I think that's something that Bill Walton's doing somewhere on a campsite from a dispensary. So like Jay Billis did recovered on that one. He definitely recovered on that one. Yeah. So I guess what Duke now, though, to say Duke is back or whatever, I mean, have we learned no lessons in pandemic basketball or in pandemic college sports, period? Like, let's stick with the same thing where you just kind of have to talk about games on an individual basis. But
Yeah.
we can say going forward that Duke's bleak NCAA tournament picture isn't so bleak anymore with a good win against Virginia and what looks to be potential good wins down the line. Suddenly, Georgia Tech, who's fighting for their NCAA lives, isn't a bad win if they get that win. Syracuse on Monday, not a bad win. And North Carolina continues to look good, near the top of the ACC now with their record. That would be a good win, too, if they can pull it off.
I think they are in a position now, though, where they probably have to win out.
Yeah.
Or close to it, but probably win out and win some ACC tournament games. Like, their position is different than in North Carolina right now, who I think at this point, Louisville's no longer going to be a quad one after tonight. And it wasn't before. They were 31, I believe. But, you know, they're going to be close to it. They may be quad one by the time the season's over. I think that they've done close to enough at this point that they don't have to sweat it out quite as much. They don't want to, like, completely fall on their face at the end of the year. But Duke basically has zero margin for error at this point. They probably pretty much have to win out, because part of it is they didn't, you know, because of a lot of reasons, they weren't able to do a lot in the non-con that was going to impress anybody. And so, you know, they're going to have to win these games that are good opportunities to get good wins on the resume, and they're probably going to have to win all of them. But I mean, I wouldn't say that this particular version of Duke couldn't do that at this point. I wouldn't say that.
And they can always win the ACC tournament with however many teams are going to play in the ACC tournament.
I mean, I'm going with 14 right now because I'm kicking BC out. I don't even think they want to go.
Well, it's funny. Joe Giglio talked to some of his ACC sources on Friday related to the ACC tournament. And the ACC, given the NCAA's option, you can name your regular season champ as your auto bid winner, or you can go with the traditional route of the tournament winner as being your auto bid. The ACC decided, or at least according to Giglio's sources, they're going to go with the ACC tournament auto bid winner. Okay. And when he asked them about, hey, what about, like, how many teams do you expect, right? And they said, no, we fully expect 15 teams to play, which nobody's buying that. BC is not going to show up.
Zero.
And also on top of there's zero chance that Boston College shows. I'd be shocked if they showed up to this. And I also think they're not alone in that. Teams near the bottom of the ACC with really nothing else to play for, what are you really doing at this point? And then you also get into the calculus if you're Florida State or Virginia, where you're pretty much, you're giving your resume, you're in the NCAA tournament. Do you want to risk another, especially if you're Florida State, who's already dealt with some COVID pauses, do you want to risk that? So if I had to have, like, just my hunch on this, I would guess that you're looking anywhere between 8 to 10 teams that participate in an ACC tournament.
I hear you. And I just think that from what I've also heard a little bit of, and from what the coaches at least have been saying in public, and that stuff matters, right? Like, if Tony Bennett's out here saying the ACC tournament's really important to me and we want to play in it, it would be pretty surprising to see them then not play in it, right? And
that's fair. And
I think that, yes, a team like BC that has nothing to play for, absolutely, they have a new coach. Like, there's nothing, there's nothing to gain from that, really. But even I think we're going to be surprised at the number of teams we actually do see play in it. Partially because
I hope I'm wrong. It's just that, I've seen this enough now where
I get it.
I hope I'm wrong, but I also know that given how things have gone, it's, February 20th when we're recording this, things change every day.
Yes.
So
the sentiment behind what you're saying makes perfect sense. I just think that, like, we really do kind of underestimate the way that the basketball coaches tend to want to do things like play more games, as many as possible. They're just
Look at North Carolina, right? North Carolina, and we'll close on the Tar Heels. North Carolina was looking at a potential where the fact that the Louisville game even happened is a surprise, given that they were just coming out of yet another pause, and they had to hold a press conference on Friday saying, "Yep, no, we're going to do this." They played the game, and you could tell that not having played basketball for a while caught up to them. And this is exactly what North Carolina is trying to avoid. Not because they've got their own COVID pauses. I mean, so far their only issue was a maskless party, and that's water under the bridge at this point in time. So the BC game on Tuesday being postponed, or at this point they're canceled, they went and they scheduled Marquette because you were looking at a situation where North Carolina was playing, one basketball game in 21 days or whatever that was.
Yeah.
So this is not the time of the year where you can't be playing basketball.
Nope.
And they look good. I don't know. I don't know if today was cathartic. I don't know if today was just things were just absolutely clicking. I really don't know exactly what it was, but they absolutely looked great. But the only issue that they had was they didn't get biscuits, and that was something that Andrew Platek was not happy with. 99 points today. So Platek, the meme king.
He tweeted it at the walk-on who missed the layup that would have given them 100 points.
Yeah. With his cat.
He tweets that GIF every game.
Yeah, after wins, he tweets it. You know,
there's so much about Andrew Platek and the various memes and GIFs that I don't fully understand. But you know what? I just lean into it. It's not for me to know. It's not for any of us to fully understand.
Lean into it, and that's the thing about Carolina today. Two things can be true at once.
Yes.
I mean, you could point out that Louisville clearly just was not game ready coming out of the COVID pauses, but you can also look at the way the Tar Heels played and see why people have continued to be high on them after a pretty shaky start. There's clearly something there. Guys are starting to get their roles. Guys are starting to get better at what they do. And if Kerwin Walton's going to hit shots like that, well, then who's going to stop the Tar Heels, right?
Although it was certainly an interesting strategy of Louisville to go zone and then not cover that guy. Just saying. I was like, you got one guy.
Strategy.
You need to be
Bold
concerned.
Strategy.
Yeah, I agree with you that both things are true for sure. And I also think that, Carolina hadn't beaten a team like that in ACC play since 2017. And we all know who that team was. I'm sorry, State. I shouldn't do this to you because, you have reason to feel good about your team right now. But it's true. That's just the last time.
Lauren, we've been friends for a long time. I know you are much more fun at parties than you are. I mean, this is twice now. You're just being a buzzkill today. What is it?
I'm just in a Debbie Downer mood, I guess. I don't know what's happening.
What is this?
I'm not trying to. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, State. I'm very sorry. State, I am proud of you for what you did today. I mean that, sincerely. But that's just the last time it happened. I'm just naming a historical.
Maybe you should just call it a night. Sleep it off. Wake up on the right side of the bed. Just saying.
Yes.
I don't like your attitude today. We're just going to end this. Is there Debbie
Downer
today?
Am I going to get benched?
Debbie Downer today. What's up with that? Saturday vibes, positive vibes only, Brownlow.
I was trying to frame it in a positive context for North Carolina because they haven't beaten a team like this, an ACC team, in a long time. So, like you said, it is both. It is both that Louisville looked shaky and that Carolina, did something they haven't done in a very long time since Dennis Smith Jr. Oh, I did it again. I'm sorry.
Well, that's going to wrap it up for this edition of the ACC Panic Room. We'll see you all later in the week, and hopefully Brownlow will be positive vibes only.